People love to say Enzo Ferrari believed anything with fewer than 12 cylinders wasn't worthy of his name. So when Ferrari built a V6 and then a V8, the story goes he refused to call them real Ferraris, slapped a different badge on them out of shame. But here's the thing, that story, total nonsense. Enzo Ferrari's father was named Alfredo, so was his older brother. Both died from the flu when Enzo was just 18. Years later, when Enzo had a son, he named him Alfredo too, Alfredino, after the two men he'd lost. And then, heartbreak struck again. Enzo watched his beloved son fade away from muscular dystrophy at just 24 years old. You don't need to dig deep to get it. Naming a car Dino wasn't some slight. It was Enzo's way of honoring the son he loved and lost. Spend just a little time with these machines, and you'll see, they more than earned the name. Plenty has been said about Enzo Ferrari, but one thing everyone agrees on. He was a tough, stubborn old man. And honestly, given his life, who could blame him? One more thing about Enzo. He didn't care much for street cars. Racing was his obsession. By the late 1950s, Ferrari was competing with a V6 engine they called the Dino, named not after a cartoon dinosaur, but something far more personal. Dino wasn't just the frail son of the founder. He was a trained engineer with a passion for engines. He pushed Ferrari to build a V6 for racing. Sadly, he passed before hearing it run. But less than a year later, that V6 wasn't just alive, it was competing. It even powered Ferrari's first mid-engine race car. Nearly a decade later, rule changes in Formula 2 forced Ferrari's hand. To keep racing, they had to build 500 street cars with that engine in just 12 months. That might not sound like much now, but back then, it nearly meant doubling their entire yearly output. Luckily, Fiat came knocking. They needed a new engine for their flagship, and Ferrari's racing pedigree gave it credibility. For Ferrari, this meant they could mass-produce Dino V6 without draining their own resources. A win for Fiat, a win for Ferrari, and a win for Italy. Those extra engines ended up in the Fiat Dino Coupe and Spider, and later in the legendary Lancia Stratos. But that's a story for another time. Meanwhile, Italy was catching a fever, mid-engine madness. Lamborghini was chasing the world's first mid-engine supercar, and Sergio Pininfarina, Ferrari's go-to design genius, caught the bug too. He wanted Ferrari to build a mid-engine road car, and to prove the point, he dropped a Dino V6 into the center of a show car. That prototype, the Dino Berlinetta Speciale, looked like it came straight off a racetrack. It didn't even run, but the crowd loved it. Enzo gave the green light. 1 year later, at the 1966 Turin Auto Show, the nearly finished design debuted. But Enzo had one big issue. The problem? The engine sat longitudinally. Enzo hated that, for two reasons. First, Lamborghini's new Miura had its V12 mounted sideways, and there was no way Enzo was letting Ferruccio win that game. Second, a transverse setup meant more trunk space, and Enzo believed his entry-level Ferrari needed practicality. So, the engine got flipped, and it worked beautifully. But doing that meant designing a new transmission. One of the strangest setups this side of Olive Garden calling cream-covered pasta Alfredo. Real Alfredo? Butter only, no cream. Here's how it worked. Power left the crankshaft, ran through the clutch, then dropped through 3 spur gears into a transmission tucked parallel and underneath the engine. Weird, but it worked. It was unusual, but like Olive Garden's breadsticks, it worked. Still, Enzo requested separate lids for the trunk and engine. Why? So he wouldn't have to see his late son's signature, Alfredino's own handwriting, every time he popped the trunk. The finished car arrived a year later, the Dino 206 GT. 20 for 2.0 liters, 6 for its cylinder count. Built on a tubular frame with riveted aluminum panels, it was simple, but groundbreaking. This was Ferrari's first mid-engine road car, its first road-going V6, and the first to feature rack and pinion steering, double wishbone suspension, 4-wheel disc brakes. It was a racer in disguise, and the world took notice. Car Magazine called it one of the most advanced grand touring cars of our time. Formula One driver and journalist Paul Frere called it a revelation. Fitting since this show is Revelations. And here's another. Frere was also the one who made Enzo's 12 cylinders or bust quote famous. That whole only real Ferraris have 12 cylinders thing doesn't hold up. By then, Ferrari had already built engines with 4, 6, 8, and even flat 12 cylinders. Enzo didn't care how many cylinders a car had, he cared if it won. And that's your real revelation. And the Dino, it was a winner. Fast, balanced, and unlike anything Ferrari had built, it spoke to a younger crowd. The real star was the V6, a 2-liter masterpiece making 180 horsepower and screaming to 8,000 RPM. Its 65-degree layout allowed straighter intake paths. The crank was tuned for perfect firing, and the exhausts were equal length. The result? One of the sweetest-sounding engines ever made. The Dino was fast, but not quite fast enough. In top trim, the Porsche 911S was quicker, so Ferrari bumped the engine to 2.4 liters, creating the 246 GT. They stretched the wheelbase, swapped aluminum for iron and steel to cut costs, now that F2 requirements were met. More torque, same speed, 0 to 60 under 7 seconds, 145 miles per hour top end. It couldn't outgun the Miura, but it could outhandle it. In fact, it set a skid pad record in Motor Trend. While the Dino rarely raced, one white 246 GT made history, winning the 1975 Cannonball Run, crossing 2,951 miles in 35 hours and 53 minutes, 1 minute faster than a Ferrari Daytona. That Cannonball-winning Dino earned its stripes, despite getting arrested in Ohio, dodging cops in Kansas, hitting 3 jackrabbits at 140 miles per hour in Arizona, plowing through a sandstorm, and finally, getting lost in LA. America loved the Dino. It sold well worldwide, but the US, especially the targa-topped GTS version, was obsessed. So when it came time to replace the 246, you'd think Ferrari would double down with another sleek drop-top 2-seater. Nope. Ferrari did the opposite. Enter the Dino 308 GT4. It was the only Ferrari sold in the US in 1975, had 0 Ferrari badges, and many called it ugly. The car world was shocked. First the design, gone were the soft curves. This was a sharp wedge from the future, or a Lamborghini catalog. It looked a lot like the Urraco. Both were designed by Marcello Gandini at Bertone. Second shock, packaging. In a body just 2 inches longer than the 246, Gandini squeezed in a 90-degree V8, where a 65-degree V6 had barely fit, and still made space for a back seat. Biggest surprise? The 308 GT4 drove just as well as the original Dino. The engine, a 2.9-liter V8, absolutely ripped. 4 seats, all fast. Some critics said it sounded like a 4-cylinder. Hilarious. This was Ferrari's first flat-plane crank V8, the sound we now associate with the brand. Back then, the revs, up to 7,700 RPM, were just confusing. It made 255 Italian horsepower, which basically means a lot. And since the GT4 only weighed 250 pounds more than the 246, it was even quicker. 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds, mid 14 seconds in the quarter, and torque from idle to redline. Tired of the internet getting this wrong? The 65-degree Dino V6 was a unique design. The V8 in the 308, derived from the high-output Colombo V12 used in the Daytona, same bore and stroke, more power per cylinder. Beyond the engine, it was classic Dino underneath, quirky sideways transmission, similar chassis, same brakes, steering, and suspension. Just stretched 8 inches for a smoother ride. The GT4 earned rave reviews, and appreciation grew as people got used to its shape. It sold well. But the styling, still divisive. That changed when Pininfarina returned. They took the GT4's guts and wrapped them in the stunning 308 GTB, the first of the mid-engine, flat-plane V8 Ferraris that would define the brand. Define Ferrari by its engines? Enzo's story starts with the V12, then comes the flat-plane V8. Prefer design? First, front-engine GT, then mid-engine sports cars. Either way, Ferrari's second chapter was built on and named after Enzo's own son. Enzo quit racing to be a father. Instead, he grew old mourning a son. He wore black every day and visited Dino's grave often. I never thought a son could leave his father a legacy, but my son did. So, were the Dino cars less than Ferraris? Hardly. They were the legacy. And no, Alfredo wasn't named after fettuccine, unless you count the lunch-sized Alfredino portion. See the problem? What do you think defines a true Ferrari? Engine, design, or something deeper?